Poetry open mic at the Rat. Poem by Joe Salerno, and it's called Poetry is the Art of Not Succeeding. Poetry is the art of not succeeding, the art of making a little ritual out of your own bad luck, lighting a little fire made of leaves, reciting a prayer in the ordinary dark. It's the art of those who didn't make it after all, who were lucky enough to be left behind, while the winners ran on ahead to wherever it is winners go running to. Oh, blessed rainy day, glorious as a paper bag, the kingdom of poetry is like this, quiet, anonymous, a dab of sunlight on the back of your hand, a view out the window just before dusk. It's an art more shadow than statue.
Summer before college, I worked United Ring and Seal, 9 hours a day, 6 days a week. On my feet, fitting airplane piston ring after airplane piston ring into a rotor. Then lowering the lever that lowered the blade that shaved exactly however many millimeters the military needed shaved from the inside edge to ensure smooth flying. I sang every song I knew and survived break to break, half grinding, half dancing, caught up in the dull service and rote worship of some foreign purpose. Punched in and out of time, I skimmed by on cigarettes outside on a bench, leaning back against the building.
One goes, I live in my own little world, but it's okay, they know me here. Or here's one I like. I used to be at war with my demons. Now we're on the same side.
His pitiful, beautiful, untouched body. But I don't do it. I want to live. I take them up like male and female paper dolls and bang them together at the hips like chips of flint as if to strike sparks from them. I say, do what you are going to do, and I will tell about it. Today, I pass the time reading a favorite haiku, saying the few words over and over. It feels like eating the same small, perfect grape again and again. I walk through the house reciting it, and leave its letters falling through the air of every room. I stand by the big silence of the piano and say it. I say it in front of a painting of the sea. I tap out its rhythm on an empty shelf. I listen to myself saying it. Then I say it without listening. And then I hear it without saying it. And when the dog looks up at me, I kneel down on the floor and whisper it into each of his long white ears. It's the one about the 1-ton temple bell with the moth sleeping on its surface. And every time I say it, I feel the excruciating pressure of the moth on the surface of that iron bell.
How to build a shoe. First, collect fear. That means teeth. The jaw swung open, saliva strung in beads from fang to molar. There in that semi-human face shaped as from a block of dull concrete, some fearsome combination of man and best friend turned vicious, gone mad. Add snarl, dark, rippling lips, bloody gums, and that original soundtrack roar, rattler of the firmament, curdler of human blood. Oh yes, we're onto something here. And bulk and stature. Enough size to fill the landscape, to blot out the sun, to quiet local birds and shake the solid earth with every brute step. And claws, add claws.
I can write Ode to Spring in Brooklyn. Spring has sprung, the grass is riz. I wonder where them birdies is. Them little birds is on the wing. But that's absurd. The wing is on the little bird.
Tulips. Happy spring. Green. There is a purgatory in between seasons. These are the days I tempt the breeze to billow below, and sow the sun, tilled in what was touched, and returning again. The melody on the breeze, the touch of the flesh, planted in your embrace. Pink, coy princesses of tease in their compound angle of crack. The days devour time in a blink and a longing. where we wear nature and we're under the spell of the moon. It's light like speed for the springborn, and flowers with the expectation of bees.
Took snapshots of you, 3 quick flashes that turned heads and stopped conversation. I wanted to say, I'll take 2 8x10s to make you laugh and sit up and ask me why you've been caught dead in that stiff blue suit. I'd call over Bob and Lee to help you out and up and steady on your feet. They would slap you on the back and say, hey man, we missed you, and tell you about the gigs they just booked. You'd realize Mountain Jam was playing, as I promised, and pick up your guitar, standing sentry, your hand-printed lyrics to When a Man Loves a Woman still taped to its side. That this used to be firmer, that used to be higher, and these didn't wiggle as much. And then I think about the one who wears socks to bed when his feet are cold, snuggles against my flannel pajamas, who looks at me with eyes that erase my wrinkles, but not the years, and how we might fall asleep before, during, or after. And neither one of us is insulted.
It's called Flight Plan. In the summer, barefoot by the ocean, I had marveled at gulls in flight, their wingspan, the apparent certainty in which they circled around, each an orbital blotch against the August sun, legs tucked up close to their weak and feathered bodies, before I called to them and they broke, disappearing over the top of evergreens. Had I known in only hours I would be held in familiar arms, constricted against your breasts, and how I would feel hollow again, like the groan of wood in an empty house settling, would I vainly have been lost in fixation? And now, in your absence, your picture I keep in my bedroom only to serve dutifully as a bookmark, while outside the wind reminds me it still blows sharp from winter. These unfamiliar puzzle pieces, can I help but dwell upon them as I sit susceptible, naked, and cross-legged in darkness, picturing when I see you next, and with anxious breaths you ask what I've been writing, and I tell you the way a bird holds its legs up close to us.
Part of your favorite. Always the pleasantries, the monotony of the how do you do's. I want only to see and be seen in the most literal and basic sense. Please let me enjoy my drink in peace, and I'll do the same. You won't need to account for your whereabouts of the last 3 months. You needn't regale me with little party anecdotes. Pithy as peaches picked too early in the season, and roughly just as satisfying. I'll think no less of you for simply making eye contact.
Sundays, Dutton saunters into Quaker meeting, leads his master to a bench by the fire, and lies in patient silence. After this long, quiet hour, he will politely decline the temptation of innocent pats and cookies from the children. With a slight wag of the tail, he will stay faithful and still next to his companion, a good dog, well loved. Was there ever such peace for the shepherds, who immediately tore trouser legs off starving prisoners, no longer able to keep pace through the snows of retreat?
I'm surrounded by old friends and new friends, and this has just been way beyond John's and my imagination of how many people would show up, and it just means that there's a real, interest in this, and people in Frenchtown and the surrounding area really like having something like this to come to.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.